Hi everybody, we're back. And in this second video, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about how to go about making Romero Britto inspired art, as well as, if you're interested, like I did, how to make art on plastic called Suncatchers. So that way you can see through as you hang them in your window. So let's go ahead. Number one, Romero Britto inspired art. So let's take a look at this black and white version of his artwork. And there's a few elements that stand out to me when looking at his artwork. I'm sure if you took the time, you would probably notice similar, although I'm sure you'll notice more as well. What stood out to me is, number one, when thinking about Romero Britto's art, thinking about the lines. Whatever image he decides, whatever picture he wants to make, in this case, hearts are the main point. He has these lines that break up the areas. And a key, the really important part of that is that helps you with the second element are all the patterns that he includes. So by breaking up those spaces with the lines, we now have areas where we can separate different patterns. So the third part isn't visible in this because this is a coloring page, a black and white coloring page, is the bright colors, the cheerful colors, the colors that catch our eyes. So when you go about thinking about your own Romero Britto inspired art, number one, we're thinking about bright colors. Number two, we're thinking about whatever image you want to do, whether it is a heart or whether it's something else that interests you. It could be a face. It could be a baseball. It could be anything. It could be a cat. It could be, any drawing that you want to do with outlines, and then using those lines to divide the area into at least a few spaces so that you can then, for number three, fill it in with patterns. And when thinking about patterns, I found this page made by another art teacher. I don't know her name actually, but I love when we share with each other. So thank you to the art teacher who made this page. Some ideas for you on different patterns that you can use to fill in some of those spaces on your Romero Britto inspired art. So I'm including this in the calendar and you'll be able to take a look. So perhaps if you're going to make a Romero Britto inspired art, as I said again, thinking about the bright colors, thinking about the lines, and thinking about the patterns, you might just do it on a nice piece of paper. Maybe you can hang this paper in the window. You could hang it in the wall or keep it in your journal or give it to somebody else. But maybe you want to try, like I did, to make, I haven't hung them up in my window yet, I will, to make some Suncatchers. There's so many different kinds of Suncatchers. The idea of Suncatchers are they kind of look like stained glass, colorful glass, but they're not because they're plastic and I can make this at home, is that they can hang in the window. The sun shines through them. It brightens up indoors. It brightens up to the people who look at outdoors. We can all enjoy they're see-through. They're colorful. So how did I do this? Number one, the materials. Now the materials I used, you might not have at home. So I'm going to show you a few different ways that you could go about it if you're interested. If you don't feel like trying it, you know what? Turn off the video and go ahead and make the art that you want, either a heart or Romero Britto inspired artwork. But if you are interested in learning more about Suncatchers, the first thing you need is plastic. Now, plastic, unfortunately, for better or for worse, is all around us. It comes in many different forms. So something like this, a container might work. A clean Ziploc bag could work. So many different things. I happen to have a sheet of plastic, those slip covers. I don't have one in front of me that you put on papers. Works. Really, any plastic that you can cut, that you have permission to cut, will work. So what are you going to use to make your picture? So number one, I do have colorful Sharpies, whether actual Sharpie brand or the dollar store ones too. But if you don't, I just discovered that you actually, if you have watercolors, just your everyday watercolors, those also will work. Now, they probably will scratch off if you move it around too much after it dries. But so if you want to try this, you can paint your watercolors straight on the plastic, let it dry, which is pretty quick, and then hang it up. Don't touch it too much, and that should work well. The other option is, if you don't have Sharpies, there are other ways, but I'm not going to get too into it. You can actually make your own ink with alcohol, but that's a whole other story. But you could also just color it with regular markers, or even crayons, or paint. And then if you still want the look of the Suncatcher, you could go ahead and cover it with plastic anyway, just to add a little sparkle to it and make it a little more interesting than your everyday paper drawing. Now, the other thing with the Suncatchers is that I tried a new technique for myself that I had been wanting to try, but it's messy. So I'm going to tell you about it, but I don't necessarily recommend it unless you and your family are gung-ho on trying out new, somewhat messy ideas. So that's why I want to tell you, but even without, the black Sharpie is great for an outline. But this is black glue, homemade black glue. All I used was regular white glue and a few drops of black paint, and I mixed it together. And then I have some black glue, and I outlined it and let it dry. And I actually didn't want to have to wait to color it after it dried, so I colored it first and then did my outlining, and then let it dry. But one thing I forgot to tell you is that whether you want, whatever you do, I drew my picture first. So let's say you were going to use something like this. You want to draw it out first, so that way you can trace it right onto the plastic. So there you have it, a couple ideas. Let's review quickly. Number one, you can design your own Romero Britto inspired either hearts, which would be great, and send a picture to Lee at Nativo, and please send it to me too, because I like to see what you're doing, or just Romero Britto inspired art, whether it's hearts or not, and you will think about your patterns and your bright colors and your lines to break up the areas, or if you want to try some Suncatchers, hopefully, again, the idea of hearts because we want to show that we care, but also once you're going for it, try some other things. My kids tried unicorns and all sorts of animals and other things. Our window is going to be full. I don't know if we're going to see the trees anymore, but it'll be fun and cheerful. So there you have it. Go make some art, and most important, have some fun, spread some love. Have a great day.